Your mind doesn't have an open door policy. At least it damn well shouldn't. Every day, somebody wants access to it. A headline, a notification, an algorithm, a politician, an advertiser, a troll, a friend carrying their own emotional garbage. And sometimes the loudest voice trying to get inside your head is your own. In the last episode, Jim and I talked about fixing your focus, reclaiming your attention in a world constantly trying to steal it. But reclaiming your attention is really only the first battle. The next question is harder. What deserves to get through? Because the algorithm doesn't actually know you. It knows what keeps you from leaving. And once something gets inside, it can change your mood, change your assumptions, fuel your anger, and follow you straight into the relationships that actually matter. The filters work both ways. We're not just consuming information, we're putting things back into the world too. Our words, our reactions, our anger, our kindness. And sometimes what we say to another human being stays with them for decades. So in this episode, we're going to be asking two questions. What needs less access to you? And maybe more importantly, what are you giving access to everyone else? This is one world, and this is Fix Your Filters. Let's talk about it. Hey, welcome back to the program, guys, and thank you so much for being here. You know, we're going to continue on our self-care series this week with our 5 Fs, and tonight's effing episode is Fix Your Filters. Joining me, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Mr. Jim Alabiso. Jim, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, but, as I got older, I'm losing my filter, so watch out.
I'm often told I don't have a filter.
Yeah.
But, or focus.
Yeah.
That's actually, this topic, filters, actually is really is placed very well right after focus, because filters, whether they be physical, emotional, mental, whatever, social media, the news, whatever you need to do personally to filter out the nonsense that's trying to get a hold of your attention, it follows right after focus. It really does.
Absolutely. Without filters, it's, even when you set your phone and do not disturb, that's a filter, right? So
Sure.
it's so it just filters out all the stuff so you can focus. And, there's other kinds of filters too that we use occasionally, like these right here. These are my solar eclipse eye filters. And then this right here is my air conditioning filter.
And it filters out the bad stuff in the air.
Exactly. Yeah. Pet dander and all that.
I have water filters on my refrigerator and my sink.
Sure. Brita filters. I guess we've covered all the filters. So
all right,
we
see you next week.
Ready to wrap this up.
Well, let me ask you something. If we're talking about filters, seriously, the types of things that you would filter out, let's say, for instance, information, whether it be good or bad. If information is trying to get your attention, whether it be any number of things, social media, the news, or anything like that. What information could have, would have, or may have affected your life? And I'll ask that of our friends, fans, and followers as well. What information could have affected your mood today?
Sure. I mean, one of the things I think, well, at least for me, everybody's different, but for me is I just don't watch the news in the morning, and I don't watch the news at night. I actually don't watch the news. I just, use a news feed and and if there's an article, that's just a downer, I just don't read it.
Sure.
Especially if it's, very politically motivated piece of media, then I don't care anymore.
Yeah. One of the ways
I'm actually sick and tired of it, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
So I just turn it off. And
one of the things, you're talking about the news and feeds and all that kind of thing. One of the things that these, sources of information or news or media or what have you. I think it's a media hack. I know it is. One of the ways they use to get to bypass people's filters is using clickbait.
Yep, absolutely. But
Yeah,
the whole clickbait thing. It's even like, if you're sitting around the living room talking about buying a new easy chair, somehow Amazon comes out now advertises an easy chair. I mean, it's just like, come on now. There's something going on there, right?
well, yeah.
So,
Yeah, everything that's attached to your computer, your phone, anything when you're doing search with a particular browser, or you're on Facebook and you click on a link that you're looking at. Let's say you're looking at log cabins or exercise equipment. Well, shit, the next
yeah,
6 or 8 ads that come across your feed are going to be about log
yeah,
cabins and exercise equipment.
yeah, just doesn't stop. So, yeah, so a lot of that, excuse me, the cat woke me up early this morning. Um, the, Yeah, so a lot of that stuff I just got to shut down. And like when I'm
Hmm.
writing, working on my book or something, I'll just put do not disturb on my phone,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. You know what else is a really good filter?
What's that?
These things. These things. Because like if you have
Yeah.
them on, people will hesitate to talk to you because they think you're rocking out or something. So it's kind of it's kind of like a sign that says don't talk to me.
Yeah, you're
I don't
sending
mean that
out you're
really, but
sending out
it
you're
does.
sending out that message.
Yeah, I don't really you use it as a filter, but I hesitate to talk to people when they have them on because I don't know if they're on the phone or not, you know. So
Yeah, yeah. Now, one question that comes up, and this is really an easy answer. I mean, but um,
just give me the easy questions, man.
is every input deserving of your consideration?
Oh, that's actually a really good question. No, you
Yeah,
know, really, it's not. I mean, there's just so many inputs that we're getting, advertisements, um, uh, news that's just not is more than news, but more of a political thing, right wing
sure,
news, left wing, whatever. So it's like, yeah, some of that's just not worthy of my consideration. But if it's a physics article or an article about the solar eclipse we're going to have in a few days, I'll read
sure.
that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
the rest of it, I'm
So,
just like, you know, too
yeah,
much.
yeah. We're just overloaded right now. I mean, it is just
Yeah,
the information overload has been exponential in the last decade. I mean,
yeah,
I remember, years and years ago when computing was a whole lot different than it is now. I had computers a decade ago, 2 decades ago. They were much more archaic than the ones we have now. But the same goes for the media
no
that we were
kidding.
getting. It was not near
Yep,
as much. And now, what with
no,
aggregate sites that aggregate news, like Ground News, and there's certainly others, but they aggregate every single little tidbit. Associated Press, for instance, is cited on, gosh, dozens of news sites that basically rely on Associated Press for their articles. They'll just quote them verbatim
sure.
for the entire
Yeah,
article.
I mean, Yahoo does that a lot. Yahoo
Oh
will
yeah,
like reprint, publish the same article. So, Google's really good at that. It's like,
yeah,
to read all the news on this one item, then they have, 20 articles on that item,
yeah.
and how many times are we going to have to hear that there's a new deal on the Iran war?
Yeah,
Every time there's a new
I,
deal, it goes up
I
in
know, I
smoke,
know.
literally, right? So I
Well,
just
at
don't
what
read it
point?
any.
Yeah, at what point? Like I was talking about everything being exponential now in our, information overload. At what point? When does exposure become overload?
Yeah, well, I mean that's I think a very individual thing, but I've had points where I feel like I'm overloaded, mostly because I found myself, addicted to going down the rabbit hole sometimes, I'll, I'll,
Yeah.
I'll look
Yeah.
something up. Like maybe I'm looking for a definition for a word, and then I'll see something fly by that interests me, and then I'll go to that, and then I'll go to that. And I got to consciously like, stop it, Jim. You're working on a book or whatever, a song or something like that. And it's like, put it away, especially at night. I finally just put my phone on the charger at night,
Yeah.
and I don't pay attention to it. I don't answer it. So,
Yeah.
but um, the other thing too is that um, the whole thing, and I think we talked about this too last episode, was that it was like, hey, with our iPhones and with social media, we're going to connect the world. And it didn't. It disconnected the world, really, because
Yeah. Yeah. In many ways.
everywhere I go, people are, families are sitting around a dining table looking at their iPhones. People are, I said this on the last episode, I'm repeating myself, but they're walking their dog, dragging a dog behind them, and they got their iPhone in their hand and their leash in the other, and not paying attention or communicating with their, you know, dog family member. And, it's just, it's disconnecting us.
Sure. Sure.
So I'd rather be talking to you than looking, looking at some, advertisement or some feed, you know.
Sure. Sure.
So,
Well, when it comes to that, and this goes in, this touches to what the feeds. We were talking about when you're looking up something, and then the next 6 or 7 ads come up in that same category. How do you think recommendation? I call it recommendations. It's basically the algorithm. How do recommendation systems, affect creativity and taste? Do they help people discover art? Or do they or whatever, or do they gradually narrow what that person encounters?
well, that's actually been an issue since the beginning of art. I don't think that's even a social media thing. I think that's been part of advertising forever. It's like back in the day before we had Spotify and the record companies, Warner and Capitol and Bearsville and A&M and
Hmm.
um, all those labels. They were basically telling us what we needed to hear, right? And whether a DJ decided to play this new, A side of a 45, they decided what we were going to hear. And that's all we were
Sure.
exposed to.
Sure.
So now with Spotify and Pandora and Apple and all those streaming services, nobody's telling us. Well, they're still telling us what to hear because they have,
Sure.
hand-picked, singles for the week and hand-picked new releases. And,
Yeah.
on Mondays, they come out with stuff that they think you'll like, you know. So we're still being fed. It's just we're being fed in a different way. But that's been part of the music business for a long time. And it's been
Sure.
part of the newspaper business for a long time because we always had the right leaning newspapers and the left leaning newspapers, the conservative and liberal newspapers. So, you know, it's not like we're getting fed uh, is new. It's just the technology is different and it's
Sure.
more persuasive, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, so yeah, I mean, when it comes down to algorithms and stuff like that, now we have AI that's making some of those decisions,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
it's smarter about them, and in some ways it's good because Spotify knows I like this and that, and so it'll present me with a playlist of this and that,
Hmm.
and then once in a while it'll challenge me to listen to something different, which I think is good. So, um, so in some cases it's good, you know, but
Hmm.
uh, news-wise, you really got to, pick out what you're going to watch and what you're going to listen to because it's very
Sure.
repetitive, especially right now during this term. It's just very repetitive.
Right. Right. Which is why I use an aggregate site to filter through lots of different news sources.
Sure.
Some of them are absolute garbage. Uh,
Yeah.
but there are some good sources. And we were talking about just now. You were talking about the algorithms and everything, which is
Yeah.
basically what drives, the social media universe. But this might be something strong to say, but this is really, in a way, is true. The algorithm really doesn't know you; it knows what keeps you from leaving.
That's a really good point. I never really thought about it that way. What keeps you baited, you
Mm-hmm.
know? What keeps you swimming toward the bait, you
Yeah,
know?
go down that
Because you get
rabbit hole.
as a matter of fact, I think it was, what was it, Meta just got sued for $500 million or something for, and I'm not sure it was Meta, but I think it was for, presenting, kids with stuff that's manipulative. That was in the news today.
Yeah,
I didn't
Meta's
filter that.
Meta's Meta's Meta is pushing the limits, and so is Grok. Grok was recently sued. Elon Musk's AI XAI. Uh,
Yeah.
Grok was recently sued for actually you could take images of people, and uh, Grok would take their clothes off.
Yeah. You could do that.
Yeah,
So, like,
yeah, it can do that.
say you were Billy Joel, and they
Yeah,
took
yeah,
and Grok took his clothes off. You
yeah.
know, it's like, really, people. You know,
But on the flip side of that, if a person actually were to use that function, there's a record of it.
yeah,
There's a record of it somewhere. It's maintaining the record that you sick fuck, you downloaded a picture of whoever and asked Grok to give you a nude image of her or him.
yeah. It's a
That
record there somewhere. I hope they don't find the record of me generating a nude image of you.
oh yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
That's jail
Yeah.
time, dude.
Yeah. Now, uh, I think, it's informed or emotionally hijacked. I mean, are we, about news consumption? Like I said, like we said before, with all the news that has been just thrust on us, are we being informed or are we being emotionally hijacked? I think that some people do become addicted to certain channels that give them
Sure.
more affirmation than it does information.
And yes, absolutely. And it's, of course, the media outlets are responsible for that, but we're also responsible for what we
Sure,
listen to, what we hear, and what we, how talented are we at identifying, propaganda? Like, especially
sure.
right now, the propaganda machine is just crazy.
Oh yeah,
And, a lot of people are just believing it. And so, you people may have to make a choice as to, what they're going to listen to. And so, yeah, sometimes you just got to mute that stuff
yeah.
and do something different. Read a book, play the piano, pet your dog. It's a lot more satisfying, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Well,
As a matter
just
of
like
fact, when I catch myself using my iPhone too much or social media too much, or I go down a rabbit hole or something, I just push it all the way, and I just sit there with the dogs and give them some extra love and give them some treats, and they like that better. As a matter of fact, this is a true story, Tracy. So Sama will jump. Sama, for those that don't know, who haven't met Sama on our podcast yet, he's sleeping in the other room. But I have two dogs, Sama and Sky, and Sama will, like, when I sit on the bed and I'm reading or something, Sama will jump up on the bed next to me, and I'll, scratch his neck and behind his ears, and we'll stare at each other for a while. But the man, as soon as I pick up my phone and start looking at something or answering it, he jumps off the bed and lays in another bed on the dog bed on the floor. He actually, he actually pouts and says, "Okay, well, if that's what the hell you're doing, I'm
he's
leaving."
like, fuck that.
Totally. I mean, this happens every time. So I'm careful, like, when I'm with them, that I'm not gonna pick up my phone. But it does work both ways. There's whoever's pushing out the crap, and then and how much of it do we listen to? You
Right.
know,
Right.
and but then there's also the other side. I remember reading this book. Actually, the guy that wrote this book, I think he was from Ponte Vedra years and years ago. Somewhere I still got it on a shelf somewhere, but it was called it was called The Energy Vampire, right? And these are people that will just basically drain your energy
Mm-hmm.
with their yakety yak and their talkity talk, and this is where your own filters come in. If
Sure.
somebody's like constantly gossiping or something,
Mm-hmm.
you can step away and not be rude. It's like, "Oh, I got to make a phone call or something or other." But um, these people just, when people do that to each other, we're just draining each other of
Sure.
whatever positive energy we have. It's just
Yeah.
sucking the blood out of you. Might as well just bite you on the neck and bleed you to death, because for the rest of the day, you're sitting there, you know, meandering about
Yeah.
this whatever gossip you heard,
Right.
especially
Right.
if it's very personal or,
Yeah,
a close
there's been several articles written on that subject, emotional vampires,
friend.
uh, people in toxic relationships,
You mean like
marital
ours?
really, yeah, well, marital relationships where they're toxic, and one
Yeah.
of the persons in that relationship is a vampire. They're sucking the
Yeah.
life out of their partner.
Yeah. It's true.
Hmm.
Happens all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
Well, does we talk about can people really care deeply without consuming every little update?
yeah, I mean, but, Tracy, it's not all about consumption. It's also what we're putting out, because,
Sure,
with one world and the whole theme of unity and community, it's we have to filter, what we put out.
sure.
You should always be honest, obviously. We can be tender, you know, but, um, uh, but, we got to filter what comes out of our mouth as well, you know,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
in terms of being kind and being nice to people, not gossiping,
Hmm.
you know, um, and uh, and engaging in wholesome conversations. That I don't know if the word "wholesome" is the right word, but constructive conversations and having fun talking to each other and whatever, instead of blah 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 blah. Who wants to fight over politics? I don't. You know.
Well, that's like beating your head, fighting with politics, fighting politics with someone else that has a differing point of view. Fighting politics is never going to get you anywhere. Uh,
Hey,
Listening and understanding, and then trying to get to the other side, or their understanding, or them getting to your understanding. That's a whole different discussion. But far too
mhm.
often, with the current you know state of affairs, the current events, and that kind of thing, it's often hard to do because of the actual divide between left and right.
Oh yeah, it's so emotionally charged,
Yeah.
and it's 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 I think it's really hard these days to have a conversation with two polarized points of view,
Hmm.
um, politically and even religion sometimes. Um, that it's just really hard to have those conversations now
It
because they're
is.
so emotionally charged. It's
Yeah.
just emotionally charged. And so when you end up in a situation like that and somebody's emotionally charged and they're calling you stupid or messed up, or you're an idiot for believing that, then you just got to filter that out.
Sure.
You just got to,
Sure.
like, and what do they call it? DNE, do not engage. You know.
Hmm. Yeah.
And sometimes you're just caught in the middle of it. But,
yeah, because the argument often leads to the person who you may believe is absolutely wrong or on the wrong side of the tracks. That often that person will often take that as a personal attack and not an ideological attack.
Absolutely, and it's not a personal attack.
Yeah,
I mean, how many? We've been arguing about so many different political points of view and policies for so long. I mean, just think about like abortion and immigration and things like that.
sure.
It's just very hard not to get emotional when the other person is emotional about it. So you just gotta step away from all that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I just kind of keep I just don't talk about that stuff anymore. And I'm sick of it anyway. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
A
because
lot
don't
of people.
forget, whatever we put out, other people are consuming,
That's
you
true.
know, right? So
That's
it's not,
that's
we're
true.
not always the consumer. Other people, we're the producer as well. We produce a lot of stuff
A lot of
and
stuff.
people
Yeah,
will, right? Um, so it's kind of like you don't want to create any kind of hostility or anything like that. So, and a lot of that
well,
goes back to what we talked about focus wise. A lot of it has to do with empathy and kindness and trying to
sure.
understand each other and filtering out things that are not good for you, right? You've heard many
Yeah,
people say, before I say anything, I'm going to think about it for a minute.
yeah,
Is this,
yeah,
if what I'm going
yeah.
to say next going to do good or is it going
Right.
to do harm? Is it
Hmm.
neutral? And should I say it? Or
Yeah,
somebody just did me wrong and I just wrote this real shitty letter, or email
right,
to
right.
get them back. And then you write it and then they say, okay, well, wait a day before you send it. 9 times out
Yeah,
of 10, the next day you're not so emotionally charged, you're not going to send it. Right.
right.
That's a good way. If you're emotionally charged about something, um, uh, you can put a filter on it by just waiting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like we just mentioned, uh, when you challenge, if you're challenging, and you need to think about it, when you challenge someone else's ideological beliefs, whether it be news, politics, religion, uh, when you challenge someone's beliefs or ideology, it sometimes can be uh, perceived as, like I said, an attack, but they can be hurt by it. They can be personally hurt by it. They might become very emotional and think that you've just attacked them personally.
Yep. I've seen family arguments around those things, and
Yeah,
some of my friends and people I know that that actually separates families.
yeah,
And there's no reason for that.
yeah. It
Absolutely no
does.
reason for
It
that.
does. Which
Family
leads
is
me,
family.
yeah, yeah. Which leads me to a challenge I'd like to give, not just you and I, but our friends, fans, and followers. I'm gonna call it the One World 7-Day Filter Challenge. How's that sound?
Uh-oh.
We got a filter challenge.
Okay, go for it.
All right. For 7 days, remove one harmful input and add one constructive input. In other words, well, for instance, like mute at least one rage bait account. Let's say you've got an account that's turned into rage baiting and clickbaiting and all that shit. Well, just mute
Right,
it or discontinue
right,
following it. Uh,
right.
Another example, turn off those breaking news alerts. Just turn them off. Turn them
every
off because it seems
every
like every
news item,
is breaking
every
news.
news item, Tracy, starts with breaking
I know. I
and then a
know.
colon.
Now, way back,
You
years
know?
ago, that used to mean something. Breaking news.
Yeah,
And
it
there was
doesn't mean anything
there
anymore.
was an explosion downtown. Well, now breaking news is,
Right.
well, Kim Kardashian was seen. You could see her bikini line through her skirt. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for goodness sake. I mean, There's no, it's breaking has become so diluted it doesn't attract people anymore.
It doesn't mean anything. It,
It
it
doesn't.
usually
It doesn't
absolutely does
tell
mean
you to
that
read.
it usually absolutely means that it's going to be clickbait of some kind, or
Yeah.
a rehashed topic that was already covered by
Yeah.
AP or somebody else, or WAPO or New York Times or whatever. Here's another one. Stop reading the comment. Now we've talked about something similar to this about winding down at night, but stop reading the comments before bed. That might get your
Stop
head
reading the comments at what?
before you go to bed.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
That'll
A
get your
lot of
head
times,
spinning. You're gonna lay your head down, and then you're sitting there churning it in your head. What did that son of a bitch just say?
yeah, yeah. Sometimes, and sometimes if I post something, usually if I post something, it's always something to do with my dogs or my cat or open water or nature or sunset or something like that,
Yeah, yeah,
or uh, sending some kudos to somebody or something like that. And
sure.
then once in a while, some hater will go in there, and say
Oh yeah,
something silly, and then you delete their comment, and they're like, "Hey, that's my right to put." No, it's not. It's my page, and I'll vet whatever I want out of it.
yeah. You're free to say whatever you want on your goddamn page.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Now here's another one. Add if you're deleting, the garbage, garbage
Right.
in,
Mute
garbage out.
something.
Add one reliable source,
Mm,
whether it be about, food or nature, the food channel that you like. Is it positive? Or a news
yeah.
channel that maybe align with your beliefs and your understanding of current events, whether it be local or national. Uh,
Yeah.
fo- fo- eh, uh, follow follow a community organization, somebody that does something that touches you personally, like
Hmm.
a food bank, or people that collect clothing, and people that go out and hand out bag a, a overnight survival Ziploc baggie to homeless people. It's got toothpaste in
Sure.
it,
That's a great idea. So basically,
toothpaste.
what you're saying is these
It's got
7 day
toothpaste
challenge.
in it, a $5
Yeah.
bill. I knew somebody that used to do that. Little Ziploc baggies, and it had stuff in it that would get them through the night.
Yeah. Used to do that for Thanksgiving. Package up a bunch of that stuff and bring it downtown.
You know what?
Um,
I actually used when I lived downtown. I lived just blocks away from James Weldon Johnson Park. It was Hemming Plaza at the time. Uh,
yeah.
I there was routinely some people that would show up between about 11 and 1. Some of them church organizations, and sometimes it was just volunteers that did it because they wanted to do it, handing out little paper bags for lunch bags
Yeah.
to the homeless people.
Hmm.
Well, after a while, police were actually running those people off. They
Yeah. I
were
know.
they were discouraging them from feeding the homeless.
Yeah.
So go figure. It's civil
Yeah.
ordinance,
It's not like
whatever they
they're
call it.
hurting anybody.
They weren't hurting a
Um,
damn soul. Now, what they would say is that the homeless people were actually leaving a lot of litter behind. They would just throw the empty bags on the ground and what have you. Well, James Weldon Johnson Park has a couple of employees there that walk around picking up garbage. That's their job anyway. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not saying that it's okay to throw your shit on the ground over there, but there are people that are supposed to do that, pick it up.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. But,
I'm
it's
not
kind of like the
defending.
least.
I'm not defending that, but I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
I understand. It's just the least
Yeah,
of the problems in the world. It's like,
sure.
get rid of the corruption in your police department before you start, you know, giving people a hard time for dropping litter on the ground because they're homeless or they don't know any
Yeah,
better or they just don't care, whatever. Or just do something positive. But I get the gist of what you're saying with the 7 day, you know, filter challenges. One, filter out or mute, some rage baiting thing that you
yeah,
subscribe to, and then remove that. And then on the additive side is just add a source of positivity, like doing toothbrush and toothpaste in a Ziploc, or donating your time.
Sure.
Replace that
Sure.
time with something positive. That's a really great idea. Take
Yeah.
away
Yeah.
a hurtful thing, and replace it with a positive thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I like
Absolutely.
that.
Uh,
I'll
uh,
do that. I wrote it down.
Here's another
Yeah.
one. Replace. Like I'm guilty of it. A lot of people are guilty of it. Replace 30 minutes of scrolling. You're scrolling, scrolling through with music or reading a book or walking, like you walk your dogs on a regular schedule, or conversation or listening to a positive message through via a podcast like this one.
Like you.
hey, hey, our podcasts run from 30 to 45 minutes. That's a good way. That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. Set at least one boundary with one person who repeatedly drains your emotional energy, a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Set one boundary with that person for the next 7 days. Catch and rewrite one recurring piece. Now I'm reading this. Catch and rewrite one recurring piece of destructive self-talk. Now that could really mean a lot of things, but if you can catch it and redo it in your mind, like we were saying before, you comment on something to a person before you've actually thought about it. Catch it,
but that's another.
catch
I
it,
never
and
even thought about
catch it,
that.
and re-script it. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of do this a bit myself. It's like self-deprecating, so to speak. It's like,
Sure.
I got to filter out my own self-critic. Um, and quit beating myself over the head sometimes. Because I didn't do well at this, or this wasn't perfect enough, or whatever. So yeah, that's a good point. Just to filter what you're thinking about when you're thinking about yourself, and you have thoughts
Mm-hmm.
going through your head that you might be your own energy vampire. You may want to be thinking
Sure.
about filtering,
Sure. Yeah,
and
I
that's
think.
easier said than done. I know
Yeah,
that
it
very
can be.
much
Yeah,
from experience, but you know, we got to quit abusing ourselves.
absolutely.
Right?
All right,
Yeah.
absolutely. Coming up on our closing here, Jim. One thing
Yeah.
everything that reaches us, like we've been talking about in this episode, and the last one, everything that reaches us, basically leaves something behind. It leaves a trail. It leaves a footprint. A thought, a
Sure.
feeling, a fear, a suspicion, a possibility. Maybe it leaves a wound, or maybe it leaves a little hope, but everything leaves something with us. We can't control every message, but we can certainly start focusing on our filters to help us, at least have a more pleasant experience as we walk through this thing called life. Where far too often, like you just said, far too often we beat ourselves up, and sometimes we take it out on others. But if we focus on our filters and rewrite the script, sometimes it makes for a better day.
Sure. Agree.
Yeah, yeah. You got any closing thoughts for us, Jim?
Yeah, sure. It's again, just to turn it around, that we're not always a consumer. We're the publisher of some of this stuff, right? And like you were just saying, words are powerful things,
Sure.
and if you hurt somebody's feelings, especially on a very personal level, like you make fun of you say, hey fatso, or something like that, that's going to
Mm-hmm.
stick with them for life. I mean, you got to watch what you say, because some of those words will stick with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, when I was young, I had somebody, when I was exercising my creative mojo, somebody called me a dreamer. in the sense that, oh, you're just a dreamer, nothing, you're never going to be, and that's stuck with me to this day. I mean, this was like when I was 16,
Sure.
you know, and here I am, over, half a century later, and it's still stuck in here.
Sure.
And then I had to turn it around in my head and say, hey, I am a dreamer, and some of them have come true. So it's great. Anyway, so you've got to be careful what you say to people,
Yeah.
and filter your own thoughts and what you put out in the world as well. So it's not
Sure.
just, I don't want to just say it's all media and news feeds and all that. It's part of what we say and do in our community.
Sure.
That's my
Sure.
thought.
Sure. There's an old saying that covers that just beautifully.
Yes.
It goes something like this. I can forgive you for what you did to me, but I'll never forget the way it made me feel.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. Because those feelings last sometimes for your whole life,
Yeah. 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 You can grant somebody forgiveness, but you're not going to forget how it made you feel.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been another
Hey,
wonderful conversation.
What's next on the list?
Next
What's
on
next on
our next effing episode
Yeah.
is going to be Fix Your Food. High on my list.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
we're
are
gonna
we allowed to eat? Can we eat during that episode?
we
have
can
like
we
a
can darn sure
virtual pizza?
eat. I might even make me some really good avocado toast.
There you go.
I
I was
love that
thinking
stuff.
about more, junky.
Well,
But we need to figure that out.
in this fast-paced world the way we are, far too often we fall into that trap of fast food, fried foods.
Yeah.
In the South,
Yeah.
fried foods for sure. But
Yeah.
I mean, we do. We actually, like I said a while ago, garbage in, garbage out. I
Yeah.
mean, if we consume, crap food all the time, I mean, frankly, it's not helping you. It's not helping you. It may not kill you in the long run, but I mean, it's certainly not helping you.
See, as soon as you started talking about food, Selkie's
Here comes the
walking
cat.
around. He's like,
Well, I tell you what,
well, I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to bring a pizza to the show.
It's going to be good. Well, before we go, I'm going to remind our friends, fans, and followers, don't forget to like, share, drop us a comment down below. We'd love to hear what you think about our episodes and where we're going with this self-care series. Smash that subscribe button. Follow us for more. And until the next time we see you, take care of yourselves and each other.
See y'all later. Thanks for stopping by.
Peace.
See you.